First Contact Protocols. High Admiral Zextal stood before the Galactic Coalition's Emergency Council, his translucent appendages rippling with stress patterns that none of the assembled representatives had seen in their centuries of service. The chamber's usual symphony of subtle movements and telepathic murmurs had fallen silent. "Honorable Council," he began, his neural translator working overtime to keep his anxiety from coloring his words. "We have a situation that defies our understanding of technological progression. Despite our best containment protocols, the humans have achieved what we believed impossible." The Council's chief overseer, a beam of pure energy contained within an ancient crystalline matrix, pulsed with concern. "Explain, Admiral. What exactly have these humans done?" Zextal activated the holographic display, showing a series of ships that shouldn't exist. Their designs were clearly human-made, all angular efficiency and exposed heat radiators, but they incorporated technology that the Coalition had carefully hidden from Earth's detection systems. "These vessels," Zextal continued, "were detected at the edge of the Arcturus sector yesterday. They're using a variant of our phase shift technology to bend space-time, but their approach is different, more efficient. They've somehow taken our most carefully guarded secrets and improved upon them without ever having direct access to our technology." A ripple of disbelief coursed through the chamber. The arch-scholar of the Preservation Society, her crystalline form fragmenting and reforming with agitation, spoke next. "Impossible. We maintained Level 7 containment protocols. Their quantum detection capabilities shouldn't have progressed beyond basic particle physics for at least another century." Zextal's appendages coiled tightly. "That's what makes this situation so unprecedented. They never detected our technology directly. They theorized it. From first principles." Dr. Sarah Chen, a human theoretical physicist, published what they called a thought experiment 6 months ago. It was pure mathematics, exploring the theoretical possibility of manipulating quantum fields to create localized space-time distortions. He paused, letting the implications sink in. The paper was initially dismissed by their scientific community as an interesting but impractical thought exercise. 3 months later, a group of engineering students at their Massachusetts Institute of Technology built a working prototype of a quantum field detector as part of their thesis project. They weren't even trying to find our ships. They were testing an entirely different theory about dark matter detection. The chamber erupted in a chaos of neural signals and focalized concerns. The chief overseer's crystalline form pulsed rapidly, demanding silence. "Continue, Admiral. What happened next?" The students' data revealed anomalies that matched Dr. Chen's theoretical models. Within weeks, human scientists worldwide began detecting our presence, but instead of panic or aggression, they responded with enthusiasm. They started building, innovating, taking concepts we'd spent millennia perfecting and approaching them from completely different angles. Zextal activated another hologram, showing the internal schematics of a human quantum drive. Their design philosophy is unlike anything we've seen. Where we use crystalline matrices to manipulate quantum fields, they developed what they call artificial quantum lattices, manufactured structures that achieve the same results but can be modified and improved upon. They're not just copying our technology, they're reinventing it from the ground up. The arch-scholar's form had stopped its agitated movements, now perfectly still in what those who knew her recognized as deep contemplation. How did they overcome the Heisenberg quantum limitation? Even our most advanced systems can't maintain field coherence without crystal matrices. They didn't overcome it, Zextal replied, his appendages now moving in patterns of reluctant admiration. They worked with it. Their artificial lattices are designed to fail in controlled ways, creating what they call quantum cascade effects that actually strengthen the field. It's brilliant, if terrifyingly unstable by our standards. And now they have functional starships, the chief overseer stated, their energy form dimming slightly. How many? 17 confirmed vessels, with more under construction. They're not hiding their efforts. In fact, They're broadcasting their achievements on their global information network. They're proud of what they've accomplished and are eager to make contact. A new voice spoke up, belonging to the rarely heard observer of temporal trends. "You're not telling us everything, Admiral. What else have they discovered?" Zextal's stress patterns intensified. They've begun theorizing about the existence of the coalition itself. Their quantum detection experiments revealed patterns they couldn't explain with random natural phenomena. They're expecting us now, waiting for us to reveal ourselves. And they've made it clear they're coming to find us if we don't. The Chief Overseer's crystal matrix flared brightly. "Then we have no choice. Prepare a formal contact team. If they've achieved this much by merely glimpsing our technology, we need to understand what they might accomplish with full access to our scientific database." "There's one more thing," Zextal added, his patterns now showing clear signs of distress. "The quantum drives they've developed. They're 30% more efficient than our current models. They've already submitted their designs to their global patent office, with full technical specifications freely available to anyone who wishes to study them. The humans aren't just catching up to us, Honorable Council. In some ways, they've already surpassed us." The chamber fell silent once again, but this time it was a silence heavy with the weight of a civilization, realizing that everything they thought they knew about technological progress and species development had just been upended by a young race that had managed to think its way past centuries of careful containment in less than a year. The Chief Overseer's final words seemed to echo in the stillness. "It seems we must prepare not just for first contact, but for the possibility that we may be welcoming our new teachers rather than our students." The containment failure. Security Director Nixpa reviewed the footage for the 100th time, her crystalline sensors attempting to detect anything they might have missed. The holographic display showed Earth's South Pacific Ocean, where a human research vessel bobbed gently in the waves. It was a primitive thing by coalition standards, all metal and glass, and spinning radar dishes. But what it had accidentally discovered threatened centuries of careful observation protocols. "Play it again," she commanded, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns of deep concentration. The scene repeated, the research vessel's instruments suddenly coming alive, its crew rushing to check readings that shouldn't have been possible with their level of technology. And there, in the background, barely visible even to coalition sensors, was the shimmer of their cloaked observation post failing for a crucial 2.3 seconds. Dr. Kelvin Zhang, the lead researcher aboard the vessel, had been attempting to track deep-sea thermal vents using what humans called quantum tunneling sensors, a technology that the Coalition's predictive models hadn't expected them to develop for at least another 50 years. The sensors weren't even pointed at the observation post. They were aimed at the ocean floor, but the quantum fields from the post's cloaking system had created a distinctive pattern in their data, like a shadow cast by an invisible object. "Director," her assistant's neural pattern interrupted her thoughts. "The Human Quantum Physics Symposium has begun. You'll want to see this." The display shifted to a conference hall in Geneva. Dr. Zhang stood at a podium, his excitement palpable even through the Coalition's remote monitoring systems. Behind him, a series of equations and diagrams filled multiple screens. "Ladies and gentlemen," Zhang began, "what we initially discovered as an anomaly in our deep-sea research has led us to something extraordinary. These quantum field distortions don't match any known natural phenomena. They exhibit patterns consistent with artificial manipulation of space-time at the quantum level." Nixva's crystalline structure vibrated with concern as Zhang displayed the next slide, a theoretical model of a cloaking system that, while not exactly like the Coalition's technology, followed the same basic principles. "We've detected similar anomalies at multiple locations around the globe," Zhang continued. "They appear to be stationary observation points, maintaining consistent quantum field signatures. The math suggests these are technological constructs, designed to bend light and other electromagnetic radiation around them. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, we are being watched." The audience erupted in a mixture of gasps, excited murmurs, and skeptical comments. But Zhang wasn't finished. "But here's the truly revolutionary part," he said, advancing to his next slide. "By studying these quantum field distortions, we've discovered principles that could revolutionize our understanding of physics. My team has already developed a prototype quantum field generator that can create similar effects on a small scale. We're not just detecting these anomalies anymore. We're learning to recreate them." HFY immediately accessed the classified files from the Coalition's Technology Containment Division. The humans had gone from detecting quantum anomalies to building working prototypes in less than 3 months. The Coalition's models had predicted it would take decades to make that leap. "Forward this to the Emergency Council immediately," she commanded. "Priority Alpha. We need TOW." Her order was interrupted by a sudden alert. Multiple quantum field signatures were appearing around the conference center in Geneva. But these weren't Coalition signatures. They were human-made, crude but undeniably functional quantum detection arrays, scanning the area systematically. On the display, Zhang smiled. "In fact, we've set up detection arrays around this facility, if our theories are correct, and we are being observed." He paused, looking directly at one of the areas where a Coalition sensor was hidden. "We would like to extend an invitation for open dialogue. We know you're there. We've known for months, and we want to learn from each other." HFY's crystalline form pulsed with patterns that her species used to indicate both admiration and deep concern. The humans hadn't just detected them. They'd orchestrated this entire symposium as a way to force contact. The next alert made her entire structure nearly destabilize in shock. The humans had just activated something much larger than their detection arrays. Quantum field readings were appearing in high orbit, crude by Coalition standards, but unmistakably artificial. They'd launched their own cloaked satellites, hidden from conventional detection methods. "How long?" she demanded from her analysis team. "How long have they had orbital quantum field technology?" The response came back immediately. "Based on the satellite deployment patterns and orbital mechanics, approximately 6 weeks. They've been launching them disguised as conventional communication satellites." On the display, Zhang was concluding his presentation. "We've taken the liberty of launching our own observation network. If you're watching this, and we know you are, you'll find that we've already begun mapping your observation posts worldwide. We're eager to learn, to share knowledge, to understand. The choice is yours. Continue hiding, knowing that we'll keep advancing our understanding with or without your help, or step forward and let us face the mysteries of the universe together." HFY initiated an emergency protocol that would notify every Coalition observation post on and around Earth. Their careful containment of human technological development hadn't just failed, it had backfired spectacularly. The humans had turned their own secrecy against them, developing technologies in secret, while the Coalition thought they were successfully hiding their presence. "Send a final message to the Council," she commanded, her crystalline form now showing patterns of resignation mixed with a grudging respect. "The containment protocols haven't just failed. The humans have contained us. They'd been watching us watch them, and we never noticed. Recommend immediate implementation of first contact protocols before they decide to initiate contact on their own terms." As if in response to her words, quantum field signatures began appearing around major cities worldwide. The humans were done waiting. They were announcing to their entire species that they weren't alone in the universe, and they were doing it by demonstrating technology that no one could dismiss as natural phenomena. The containment had failed, but in its failure, it had revealed something far more significant: humanity's capacity to turn even their own ignorance into a tool for advancement. They hadn't needed to steal or copy Coalition technology. They had simply needed to know it was possible, and they had found their own path to achieving it. Parallel evolution. Chief Science Officer Ran Mai watched in fascination as the human engineer disassembled one of their quantum field generators. Her bioluminescent tendrils flickered with a mixture of curiosity and disbelief as Jessica Martinez, lead developer at the newly formed Human Coalition Technology Exchange, worked with practiced efficiency. You see, Jessica explained, not looking up from her work, we took a completely different approach to quantum field manipulation. Your crystalline matrices are incredibly elegant, but they're also incredibly rigid in their structure. We needed something more adaptable. The device on the workbench bore little resemblance to coalition technology, where coalition devices were grown from living crystals in perfect geometric patterns. This human version was a complex array of manufactured components, each one precisely calibrated but easily replaceable. But the crystalline matrices are essential for maintaining quantum coherence, Ranmai objected, her tendrils pulsing with academic interest. Without the natural resonance patterns of the crystal structure, the quantum fields should collapse instantly. Jessica grinned, pulling out what looked like a simple circuit board studded with tiny metallic structures. That's what we thought at first too. But then we realized, what if we don't try to prevent the collapse? What if we use it? She placed the circuit board under a quantum microscope, and the display came alive with swirling patterns of energy. These are what we call quantum cascade arrays. Each node is designed to fail in a very specific way, creating a cascade of quantum collapses that actually reinforces the overall field structure. It's like, think of a line of dominoes. When they fall, they release energy. We're harnessing that energy from quantum collapse to power the next cycle. Ranmai's tendrils went still, a sign of intense concentration among her species, but the energy requirements must be enormous. They were in our first prototypes, Jessica admitted. But then Dr. Chen had another breakthrough. Show them, Araya. A holographic display sprang to life, showing complex mathematical models. The AI assistant, another technology that the humans had developed along a completely different path than the coalition, began explaining the principles behind their quantum cascade system. Traditional quantum field theory assumes that stability is the ideal state, Araya's calm voice explained. But our research showed that controlled instability could be more efficient. By creating deliberately unstable quantum states and then harvesting the energy from their collapse, we achieved a net positive energy return. It's similar to how a fusion reactor works, controlled chaos producing useful energy. Ranmai moved closer to the display, her scientific training warring with everything. She thought she knew about quantum physics. This shouldn't work, she said finally. But it obviously does. How did you even conceive of such an approach? Jessica laughed. Video games, actually. Specifically, glitch exploitation in quantum simulation games. We had this whole genre of games that simulated quantum physics in simplified ways. Gamers would find ways to exploit glitches in the game physics to do impossible things. Some of our early theoretical work came from studying those exploits and realizing they accidentally mapped to real quantum phenomena. She pulled up another display, showing the evolution of their quantum field technology. Once we understood that quantum fields could be manipulated through controlled collapse, everything else fell into place. We developed synthetic materials that could induce and channel these collapses, created new programming languages to control the cascade timing, and built AI systems specifically designed to predict and optimize collapse patterns. But the risks, Ranmai began, are significant, Jessica finished for her. Yes, our approach is more dangerous than yours in some ways. We have more critical failure points, more things that can go wrong. But it's also more flexible, easier to modify and improve, and ultimately more powerful in certain applications. We're not trying to control quantum reality. We're surfing it, riding the wave of quantum chaos, and turning it to our advantage. She gestured to the various projects scattered around the lab. That's why our ships look so different from yours. We need more heat radiation because our systems run hotter. We need more redundancy because individual components fail more often. But we can also do things your systems can't, like rapidly reconfiguring quantum fields on the fly or creating intentional quantum interference patterns for enhanced propulsion. Ran Mei's tendrils had begun moving again, but now they showed patterns of excitement rather than disbelief. Your entire technological development has evolved along a completely different path than ours. While we sought perfect stability and control, you embraced chaos and learned to use it. It's beautiful in its own way. Different paths to the same destination, Jessica agreed. But now imagine what we could achieve by combining our approaches. Your stability with our adaptability. Your precision with our flexibility. That's why this exchange program is so important. She turned to face the coalition scientists directly. We don't want to just copy your technology, and we don't expect you to simply adopt ours. We want to work together to find new paths that neither of our species would have discovered alone. As if to emphasize her point, one of the quantum field generators on the workbench suddenly sparked, its cascade array going into an uncontrolled collapse. Before Ran Mei could react, 3 backup systems kicked in simultaneously, containing the failure and converting the excess energy into a brief but brilliant display of quantum interference patterns. "See," Jessica said with a grin, already moving to repair the failed component. "Chaos, controlled. Not perfect, not entirely safe, but full of possibilities that perfect stability could never reveal. Welcome to the human way of doing things." Ran Mei's tendrils now showed the pattern that her species used to indicate profound paradigm shifts in understanding. The humans hadn't just developed alternative technology. They had developed an entirely different philosophy of science, one that turned apparent weaknesses into strengths and found opportunity in what the coalition had always considered failure states. The implications were staggering, and this was just the beginning. The bridge theory. The coalition's grand archives, a vast complex of living crystal that stored the accumulated knowledge of 1,000 species, had never been so quiet. The usual hum of data transmission and neural interfaces had fallen silent as the assembled scientists watched Dr. Sarah Chen's presentation. "The problem," Dr. Chen explained, standing before a holographic representation of spacetime, "isn't that we're trying to go faster than light. The problem is that we're trying to move through space at all." Her audience, representing the most brilliant minds from both humanity and the coalition, watched as she manipulated the display. The human physicist hadn't even bothered to dress formally for this presentation at the galaxy's most prestigious scientific institution, wearing her characteristic worn lab coat and running shoes. Traditional FTL theory, both human and coalition, focuses on warping spacetime to create shortcuts, she continued. But we've been thinking about it backward. We don't need to bend spacetime. We need to step outside it entirely. The hologram shifted, showing a new model that made several coalition scientists' sensory organs pulse with disbelief. Dr. Vaxren, the coalition's leading expert on warp field theory, spoke up. "What you're suggesting is impossible. The energy requirements alone would be astronomical if we tried to brute force it," Chen agreed, adjusting her glasses. "But that's not what we're proposing. Area, show them the quantum bridge concept." The human eye, now integrated into the archive systems, transformed the holographic display. The new model showed something that defied conventional physics, a structure that seemed to exist simultaneously in normal space and somewhere else entirely. "We discovered this almost by accident," Chen explained. "One of our quantum cascade arrays experienced a unique failure state. Instead of collapsing normally, it created what we first thought was a spatial anomaly. But it wasn't just warping space, it was creating a bridge to what we call null space." She gestured, and the hologram zoomed in on the theoretical structure. Null space exists parallel to normal spacetime, but doesn't operate under the same physical laws. It's not subspace, hyperspace, or any other alternate dimension in current theory. It's the space between spaces. "Impossible," another coalition scientist declared. "Such a realm cannot exist. It would violate every known law of physics." Chen smiled. "Yes, it does. But we've proven it exists. In fact, your own ships have been accidentally brushing against it for centuries." those mysterious power fluctuations you occasionally experience during warp travel. That's null space bleeding through. She pulled up actual sensor data, showing energy patterns that many coalition engineers had long considered unsolvable mysteries. Your crystalline warp drives are so stable, so perfect in their operation, that you never experienced a failure significant enough to fully breach the barrier. Our less stable, more chaotic approach led us straight to it. The display shifted again, showing a prototype human vessel. We've built a ship specifically designed to exploit this phenomenon. Instead of warping space or creating wormholes, it generates a controlled quantum cascade failure that briefly phases the vessel into null space. Distance doesn't exist there, or rather, it exists in a way our minds can't properly comprehend. You can re-enter normal space anywhere you can visualize with sufficient precision. The implications hit the assembled scientists like a physical force. Dr. Vaxren's sensory tendrils were writhing in complex patterns of scientific excitement and terror. You're not pushing against the laws of physics, they realized. You're stepping outside them entirely. Exactly, Chen confirmed. The prototype has already completed successful jumps within our solar system. The current limitation isn't distance, it's our ability to precisely calculate re-entry points. Araya helps with that, but we're still perfecting the navigation systems. She brought up another diagram, this one showing the theoretical maximum range of the system. Several coalition scientists had to recalibrate their sensory organs, believing they were malfunctioning. The numbers couldn't be correct. They suggested travel times that would make the galaxy feel like a small neighborhood. There are risks, Chen admitted. If the quantum cascade isn't perfectly calibrated, or if the re-entry calculations are off by even a tiny margin, well, we've lost a few unmanned test vessels. But we're learning. Each failure teaches us more about how null space operates, or doesn't operate, to be more precise. And if something goes wrong during a manned flight, someone asked. Chen's expression grew serious. Then the ship and crew would be lost in a realm where our physics doesn't apply. But that's why we're here. Coalition crystalline technology, combined with our quantum cascade systems, could provide the stability we need while maintaining the flexibility to pierce the barrier. She gestured at the assembled scientists. We're not just sharing this discovery, we're asking for help in making it safe, reliable. Humanity has found the door. Now we need the Coalition's help to build proper bridges. Dr. Vaxren moved forward, their sensory organs now showing patterns of deep scientific fascination. You deliberately destabilize space-time until it breaks in a controlled way. Then use that break to step outside reality itself. It's insane. Brilliant, but insane. That's humanity for you, Chen grinned. We specialize in controlled insanity. Now, who wants to help us revolutionize interstellar travel? Every scientist in the room, human and alien alike, moved forward eagerly. The barriers between species and scientific traditions were falling away in the face of this staggering discovery. Coalition precision and human chaos theory were about to merge, creating something entirely new. And in the background, Araya quietly calculated the success probability of the first joint human coalition null space test flight, her quantum processors interfacing seamlessly with the living crystals of the archive. The future was about to change, one impossible step at a time. Integration paradox. The Galactic Coalition's Grand Chamber of Commerce had never seen anything quite like the current exhibition. Historically, new species took decades, sometimes centuries, to begin contributing meaningful technological advances to galactic society. Yet here, barely a year after first contact, humans were revolutionizing entire industries. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood before the Chamber's ruling council, her presence commanding despite being physically dwarfed by the various alien species. Behind her, holographic displays showed the latest human innovations, hybrid technologies that merged coalition precision with human ingenuity. The Human Coalition Technology Exchange has exceeded all projections, she reported, gesturing to the data streams. Our quantum cascade drives are now being successfully integrated with coalition crystalline matrices, creating hybrid systems that are 300% more efficient than previous designs. But that's just the beginning. The displays shifted, showing new manufacturing techniques that had emerged from the collaboration. By applying our quantum cascade principles to your molecular assembly systems, we've developed production methods that can create previously impossible materials. The first hybrid shipyards are already operational in Earth orbit. First speaker's inbox, their plasma-based form swirling with interest, interrupted. We have received concerned reports from several member species. They worry that humanity's rate of advancement is too rapid, too unpredictable. Some fear what might happen when your chaos-embracing methods are applied to more sensitive technologies. Elena smiled, a gesture that some coalition species still found unnerving. Those concerns are precisely why we're here today. Humanity understands the fear of the unknown. It's what drove us to look up at the stars in the first place. But we've learned that fear can either paralyze or motivate. We choose to let it motivate us. She brought up new displays, showing joint human coalition research projects. Every advancement we make is immediately shared with our coalition partners. Every breakthrough is a collaboration. We're not trying to outpace the galaxy. We're trying to help it accelerate. The Chamber's AI representative, a being of pure information that had evolved from ancient coalition computer systems, manifested its holographic form. The human artificial intelligence known as ARIA has proposed something unprecedented, a direct interface between human quantum computing systems and coalition crystalline networks. The implications are significant. They are, Elena agreed. ARIA has already demonstrated that human chaos theory algorithms can optimize coalition systems in ways never thought possible. By embracing controlled instability, we can push the boundaries of what both our technologies can achieve. She paused, looking around the chamber. But there's something more fundamental at work here. Humanity isn't just contributing technology. We're contributing a new way of thinking. Where the coalition sees barriers, we see challenges. Where you see chaos, we see opportunity. The displays shifted again, showing the prototype of the first hybrid null space vessel. Its design was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Coalition crystalline technology merged seamlessly with human quantum systems, creating something entirely new. This ship represents more than just technological advancement, Elena continued. It represents what's possible when different approaches to understanding the universe work together. The Coalition's methodical, precise approach, combined with humanity's willingness to embrace controlled chaos, has created something neither of us could have achieved alone. First speaker Zinvox's plasma form pulsed with what their species used to indicate deep contemplation. And what happens when this hybrid approach is applied to other areas? Military technology, planetary engineering. The power to step outside reality itself is concerning. Elena's expression grew serious, which is exactly why we need to work together. Humanity's history has taught us that technological power without wisdom is dangerous. We don't want to just advance technology. We want to advance understanding, cooperation, unity. She gestured to the assembled representatives. Every species in this chamber has something unique to contribute. Humanity's gift isn't just our technology or our methods. It's our perspective. We see the universe not as something to be controlled, but as something to be explored. Not as a set of limits to be accepted, but as challenges to be overcome. The AI representative's holographic form flickered with rapid calculations. Integration analysis suggests a 78.3% probability of significant societal disruption if human methods continue to proliferate at current rates. However, it paused, something it had never done before. There is a 94.7% probability of stagnation if we reject them. The optimal path forward appears to be controlled integration with careful monitoring. Elena smiled again. Or, as we humans would put it, let's take a leap of faith together. Our quantum cascade technology proves that controlled instability can be more powerful than perfect stability. Perhaps the same principle applies to galactic society. She brought up one final display, a real-time feed of the first Joint Human Coalition Academy, where young scientists from both civilizations were already working together, sharing ideas, merging different approaches to understanding the universe. This is our proposal to the Chamber. Let's formalize the technology exchange into a permanent institution, not just for sharing technology, but for sharing perspectives. Let humanity's controlled chaos dance with coalition precision. Let our AIs interface with your crystal networks. Let our shipyards build vessels that incorporate the best of both our civilizations. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of neural signals, plasma pulses, and quantum communications as the representatives debated among themselves. But Elena could see in their patterns and movements that the decision was already made. The galaxy had gotten its first taste of human innovation, and there was no going back. First speaker Zenvox's form stabilized into the pattern that indicated formal declaration. The Chamber recognizes that humanity's integration into galactic society represents both unprecedented opportunity and unprecedented challenge. We accept your proposal, Ambassador Rodriguez. Let this day mark the beginning of a new era, one where precision and chaos work together to push the boundaries of what's possible. As Elena prepared to formally accept the Chamber's decision, she couldn't help but smile at the irony. The coalition had tried to contain humanity's technological development, only to find that by doing so, they had inadvertently created exactly the kind of species the galaxy needed, one that could see past the apparent limits of reality itself.